Greetings, 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 everyone, and welcome to Create Yourself Imagery, Intimacy, Innovation, a place where people of all walks of life and various backgrounds come to share their transformative personal and professional stories of restoration, confidence, clarity, and empowerment. I'm Joyce Kiles, your global speaker, author, trainer, and coach. And if you are ready to transition, transform, and thrive, this is the podcast for you. And I am so excited to have the guest that I have on air today. We were talking just a little bit before we got started to try to remember where exactly we've met. And the thing is, we've known each other so long, we think we remember, but we're not sure, which I actually appreciate, which means that we have a long-standing relationship that says that no matter where we start in the world, we obviously thought enough of each other to stay connected. So I am appreciative of that. Having said that, let me go ahead and introduce you to our guest so we can jump right into the discussion. I want to introduce to some and present to others none other than Mr. Randall C. Phillips. Randall is a professional. He is an electronics engineer of technologies, a first Lego League, which is FLL, community-based Lego robotics coach of two teams. He's a former first senior mentor, a Capstone instructional coordinator, and a 12K instructor, technical coach covering Memphis, Tennessee, and the surrounding tri-state areas. He has a passion for engineering, technology, and all things STEAM, STEM based. He has over 38 years of experience in various informational technology fields. He is a husband, he is a father, he has been married 24 years, so I just want to lift that up. That is a beautiful thing. So congratulations. He is from Chicago, which is an area that I am from as well. So we're gonna have to talk about that offline, Mr. Phillips. So as there's so many things that I could share about him because his resume is long, strong, and extensive. So I'm going to go ahead and stop reading the resume and jump right into the discussion so that he can tell you a bit more about himself and we can jump on into what it means to create yourself. So again, I want to present to others and introduce to some Mr. Randall C. Phillips. Randall, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is going to be a great interview here.
I think so too. So I appreciate you saying yes to the invitation, and we're just going to jump right on into it. So let our listeners know how long you have been doing what you do, specifically in your robotics field, because I said in the beginning it's been 38 years of experience, but tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, that journey, started prior to graduating high school, where my father and I were discussing, what was I going to do after 12th grade, and my two loves was electronics and music, and I was leaning more on the music side, and my dad was leaning more on the electronic side.
Okay.
So he just kind of convinced me to go the electronic route first, and if it don't work out, go back to music. So that's what I did. I
Okay.
took his advice. There were several recruiters coming to your high school, if you remember that. I graduated in '84, so there was a school out of Little Rock that came, and I was interested in to get information on that. Um, Even had a mobile recruiter actually come to the house. He was actually out of Memphis. I didn't realize he was out of Memphis, but he was working out of the Little Rock office. And he
Wow.
came and explained more about the school to, my parents and I. And we went, did a visit to Little Rock to the campus, and I took a test and I passed the test, and we enrolled, and I went there for 24 months, got my associate's degree, and then that's when my career kind of started. But I wanted something. I was hearing about computers because I really didn't get a chance to do a lot of computers. But that's where robotics started. Was at that college. I got a taste of robotics and a good taste of electronics, but I needed something to add to it. I needed computers. So when I moved to Memphis, I went to Memphis Institute of Technology. I kid people about it. I say that's the Memphis version of MIT. Because just
That's
because
right.
of the initials. It's now called Concord Career Institute because they bought the school.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's where I got my computer portion, and then my career started right after that graduation, and it's been a up and down journey since. And somewhere around 2008 is when I got introduced to robotics and FIRST.
Okay.
Um, FIRST is a nonprofit company out of New Hampshire. I can't think of the city name right now, but it's out of the state of New Hampshire. Uh, Actually, the gentleman that invented the Segway, um, he actually owns, his company named Deca, which made the Segway, and he owns this nonprofit named FIRST because he wanted to share with the world, engineering and robotics.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
company is probably 35 years old. So this is about as old as my career.
Okay. Yeah, so
But
you all kind of grew up together, huh?
yeah, I guess so. Kind of in parallel. I didn't know anything about them. They didn't know anything about me until, the last 15 years, because that's when I got introduced to FIRST. BTW and Carver um, they were joining together to keep the robotic team going, and I volunteered to be a part of the team. So uh, to help them move along, this robot was made out of metal and other parts that look like plastic, but it's called Lexan. Um, and you had all the electronic pieces that ran off of a pretty large 12-volt battery, about half the size that's in your car, but the same power as your car. Uh, and
Wow.
and it had to be controlled via remote control. And it was a fascinating thing to have this, this robot in our hands, and the students were, building it and programming it. And that first year, I didn't get a chance to go to competition because I didn't realize that, I needed to take a week off in order to go to the competition. I said, a whole week? I
Wow.
thought maybe it would be a weekend. I said, I can't take a whole week off. I wasn't planning
Mhm.
for that. So the next year is actually my first competition, was in 2009, when I actually went to a competition and saw all these robots running on the field, scoring points, and it's children from everywhere. Uh,
Wow.
because the first one I went to was in Knoxville, and
Mhm.
there were schools from not only the state of Tennessee, but Mississippi, Arkansas, some from even up north, like Michigan and Illinois. We even had a few international teams there, from
Wow.
overseas.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was fascinating that first year. That was the first year I was working with the larger robots. So I worked with that for, like I said, the next 5 years, and then I learned from the University of Memphis that there was a first Lego League team, and teams here in the West Tennessee. And I said, I didn't know anything about it.
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
professors there, because they also helped with the larger robots, so they was doing the small ones with some of the other the smaller partners. So I volunteered as a judge. I was a presentation judge,
Mhm.
uh, and found a niche. I said, okay, I can do this one part of the year, and then do the large robots the other part of the year, because they were kind of opposite of the seasons.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I
And
like it.
then they encouraged me to be a coach. I said, I don't know how to be a coach, and I don't have any funds or funding to try to do this. So
Mhm.
they went and did a little research and found out they can put me on a hardship uh scholarship, or not really a scholarship, what would you call it? Not the scholarship. What would a business get? A grant, that's what it was called, a
Like the
grant.
grants. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so they found a hardship grant that actually paid for everything. I mean, from the registration to the
Wow.
robot, to the field, and the primary stuff that I needed to get started. And that's a
Okay.
lot of money to come out with all at once.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But your journey is absolutely amazing. So what I am hearing is like several ways that you just created a different path for yourself, starting with your dad and him sharing with you, okay, give this a try first, even though music was what you may have been interested in, but give this a try first. And if it doesn't work, go to something else. And look at how it has transitioned and transformed you and the love that you have for Legos and robotics as a whole. I love the fact that you mentioned that you found a way to do one part in one part of the year and then do something else with the larger robots in the other part of the year. So I'm listening to how you're creating opportunities within the opportunities to grow and expand. And I think that's something for the listeners to really take in. The last part that you mentioned about how someone reached out to you and said, what you're doing is so great. You could be a coach. And they helped to find the means to ensure that you could get the grant that you needed to be able to do what you're doing. So I'm seeing and hearing a lot of ways to grow and to elevate, especially at times when we think, you know, we don't have what we need. People are looking at us, they're watching us, they're observing, and they see what we have to offer. So if it's not readily there, we create or someone will create an opportunity for you to grow and expand. So Ash, I'm really loving this discussion.
Well, it's just like I've been trying to cross teach part of what I, my journey. I have never believed that I can do all of this alone, even though I may feel alone. I
Mm,
feel I'm the only one doing this, and this is the only way that I'm doing it. But just look at all the people that was there for me,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I didn't do this alone. I never claimed to do this alone. I'm doing this with a different type of partnership or within my network of people that I do things, and I tell people I want to be a part of your network as long as it's on the positive side, and let's move
Right.
forward. Maybe there is something I can add into it, a word, a hand, maybe it could be some funds because I had to take a page out of President Obama's campaign when he was raising money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, most of the candidates were looking for, you know, $500 plate dinners and stuff like that, and these big giant donors. He said, and I remember him saying this, and even his wife repeated it. He said, "I want those, $5 and $10 and $20 donations too."
Right, right, right. We don't discount any of it.
Right? Because I remember say speaking going back to me going coming from Chicago and moving back south. One of my lessons was from one of my classmates. Out doing a transfer, I always had to go and get in school. My father always had to find a job during one of these moves we did, and I went to school and I didn't have any paper. I said I forgot to tell somebody I needed some paper, some notebook paper for school.
Right,
And
right.
I asked one of my classmates, I said, "Hey, I need some paper. I don't have any paper." He said, "Here, I'm going to give you some. I'm going to show you how to get more." He said, "Take this paper." He said, "Put it in your desk. Don't walk around with all this paper in your hand because people won't give it to you. You just and put it in your desk and then he said, go ask other students for 2 or 3 sheets of paper." And said, "Don't ask for a lot, just ask for 2 or 3." So they're gonna give you more. Some will give you 2, some will give you 3, some might give you more. And
Mhm.
by the time I asked everybody in the classroom, I had like I had went and bought a whole pack of paper. That's how much paper I had. But just following simple instructions, keeping it
Uh-huh.
simple. And that's how I've been fundraising. Give me what you have. I'll put that away. You won't see me with money in my hands. Hey, you already got money. No, I'm gonna put that away and I'm gonna ask you for a little bit, and you give me what you need or what you want me to have.
Okay, I'm enjoying the lessons. I'm appreciating the lessons. Look, I'm making notes, taking notes, because you just taught me something else about it. And you
Yeah,
know what? We have to be creative in these spaces, in business or nonprofit. You have to be creative in the ask. So yes, I'm taking notes, and I hope that the listeners are as well.
right. Because even in fundraising, I've had to even change part of that because I do take, Lego as donations. If people have Lego, they don't want anymore. The children or grandchildren don't want it. I said, as long as it's authentic branded Lego, I can accept it because my competition requires the authentic brand of Lego. So I accept those as donations. Matter of fact, I think even this year, I've probably accepted several pounds. I don't even know how many pounds, several pounds of Lego already this year.
Okay, wow, wow. Okay, so that's good to know then for our listeners that you do collect them. So tell me a little bit then, because I know we're starting to wind down, but tell me a little bit about, the process of that, what you'll accept, things that you may need, and tell us how to get in touch with you.
Okay. The best way to get in touch with me, I sent you my email address. I know it's kind of long to recite. It'd be better if they saw it on the site, or
Yes, it will
better
be
yet,
listed on the site.
you can look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn by Randall C. Phillips, because there are other Randall Phillips out there, and you're gonna hit the wrong one. I know when I did a Google search on my name, there's a doctor with my name. There's a company that builds houses out of Nashville with my name. And
Wow.
there's probably two other people that I just can't think of with my same name, but they'd have different middle initials. But I'm the only Randall C.
Hmm.
Phillips I've found.
Okay, okay. That is not a problem. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan and the Michael B. Jordan. And I
Correct.
remember Michael B saying that same thing. Yeah, he had put that middle initial so that people would be clear and not get them confused. So no problem. And all of your contact information will be listed throughout all marketing channels, so people will be readily able to just click and connect with you. So do tell me how folks who may be interested in donating Lego parts to you, what would they need to do?
Just contact me, and if it's, I guess, within my region of travel, I'll pick it up. You just gotta
Okay,
tell me when and where. Matter of fact, one of our, I don't know if she's still a local politician or not. I'm gonna say she was at one time,
okay,
and I
okay.
actually got her and her son involved in First Lego League, and she formed a home based team just on me as an influencer, because sometimes people
Hmm.
don't want to come under my umbrella and let me do the coaching and you support me. Sometimes they want to do their own umbrella, which is fine. I mean, because that's
Okay.
what I was doing as a first senior mentor. My job was to increase the number of teams in my area. And if I
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
talk you into doing the team or talk you into my team, that's fine. So I'll pick up the Lego. And if you want to donate anything monetary, I did send you a copy of my flyer. It's also on my social media places where you can donate through either Cash App or uh, PayPal. And there's also I found out on one of the other fundraisers, some people want to see what you need. So that fundraiser has items on it that we need. So if you
Okay.
don't want to give a certain amount, you say, "Oh, I'd rather see, have a purpose for my money," but all the money goes to the children. I don't put
Hmm.
anything
Hmm.
in my pocket. Matter of fact, I pull money out of my pocket and add to the pot. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
use any of it for me. I use it all for the children and for the purpose of having these two robotic teams. Because I only started out with one robotic team, and the second one it's I don't even think it's 5 years old. I have to go back and calculate when did I start the second team.
Wow. Okay. Are you looking for new team members, additional team members,
Yes, I
adults or
am.
children?
And I was surprised when our season ended, because we just had our local regional competition. It was February 8th of this year.
Mhm.
Um, People were wanting to join the team just a few weeks prior to us having our regional competition. I told them, it's actually too late for this season. We're competing in a few weeks. I'm not accepting, I really don't accept hardly any more team members after a certain time period, because we need
Okay.
to have the team tight and have everything, because I've had to coach them through presentation. We have to do our project. It's hard to bring somebody in new and they don't know what's going on. So
Right.
by the time we
Right.
get into the meat, trying to get down to the bone of things, it's too late to have new team members.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm
Well,
accepting team members now because I just had a parent meeting a few weeks ago, and these are
mhm,
people that's wanting for next season, and I've got a pre-list already started. This is the first time I've had one this early. Usually I don't start recruiting until July, but if
mhm,
people want to know things about it now, I can talk with them individually, or I can schedule another parent meeting, which I don't
right.
mind having. I have a spot to do it in. People have been donating. That's another thing. People have donated places for me to meet. And that's always been a blessing to have. I've had three places given to me. I had to end up giving one back because it was a timing issue. I
Mhm, mhm.
couldn't meet at their meeting when they can let me have the spot. I said I need the spot when I need the spot.
Okay, that's right.
So this other company volunteered that area they weren't using, and I've used it for several years. And then I moved to uh, a school where I use their makerspace, and I've been there almost 3 years now at the new.
Okay.
But I do want to create my own space. That's what I'm currently planning now, is to create my own
Okay.
space, and it'll be my permanent spot.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds very good. So lots of great information, Mr. Randall C. Phillips. As we wrap up this session of Create Yourself, the last question I want to ask you is what main points would you want our viewers to take away from our conversation today?
Okay. Main points today is that I do have two teams, and let me expound on those. My junior team uh, are made up of students second through fourth grade, and I can only have a maximum of 6 students on that team. The minimum is two because it doesn't make sense to have one person on the team. So you got to have a minimum of two, a maximum of four. That's my junior team, and it's a
Mhm.
non-competitive team,
Okay.
meaning that they use Lego to create a robot based on that annual theme because our theme changes every year. So whatever the annual theme was, like this year's theme was about water. So everything was about things underwater. So we built the submarine along
Hmm.
with our project was to save the coral reefs. And then
Okay.
there's a piece where St. Jude is doing research with coral reefs to help cure cancer. So that was part of the other piece that we were doing. So I helped the team build a Lego ocean, and had
Oh, I
Lego
like it.
just
Yeah.
released a ship, and so with a donation, we actually bought the ship and
Hmm.
a new
Hmm.
robot because we had a big enough donation that we needed more robots. So this nonprofit uh foundation donated us uh, money for additional things that we needed, and that was a blessing on that. That was a blessing out of the blue, actually.
Okay. Okay. We take them all.
Right, right. So I helped them build the Lego Ocean, and they built the ship, and they built the submarine, and we merged the robots with everything, and had our presentation together, and that's when we won an award for most interactive because the 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 ship was interactive. They were interactive with the judges and everybody who came by, and that was a great thing that happened for that team. That's the first time that team has
Okay.
actually won an award.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful.
And I
I'm
do
here
accept
for it.
boys and girls because sometimes people when they hear robotics, they only think of boys. There are girls in robotics.
Absolutely. And you know what? That there may be a conversation, if you open to it, there may be a conversation to do a part two at some point because I think especially now it is important for people to understand that girls and women are equally as involved and interested and have the capacity to be equally and involved and interested in all things STEAM, STREM, and STEM. So I'm glad that you lifted up that point. Yes, you are accepting boys as well as girls.
Right. And the second team, let me mention the second team, really, which I
Okay.
kindly reference as my senior team. This is the team that's picks up where the other one leaves off. So you can actually graduate from one team to the next team, and that starts at fifth grade all the way through eighth grade. And this is the
Okay.
competitive team. So you have to complete four tasks instead of two tasks. You got to complete four tasks. Um, you have to, build your robot or have the robot already built and you're using the existing robot. You have to build the field that we're going to use. You got to compete on the field for the
Mm-hmm.
competition portion. You have to go through what we call robot judging. So they're going to ask you questions about your robot and your programming for your robot. And then the last one is your project judging, where you're going to have your project and you're going to explain your project to a set of judges as well. The judging is like one session now. It used to be three sessions, but they merged it into one session. So when you go into judging now, you're being judged on the robot and the project, and you're supposed to also
Okay.
for what we call core values. First has core values. All they really amount to are life skills. They're just life skills that First has built into what they call their core values, and it's
Okay.
nothing that you cannot accomplish. And these are things I'm teaching. Also, your presentation skills, your listening skills, your critical thinking skills, marketing skills and things like that. And it is competitive, and you have 2.5 minutes to make as many points as possible, and you get three chances to make the most points.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So two different teams. And as you said, that second one is kind of an opportunity to graduate from the first one to
Yeah,
enter
you
into that
can.
second
You
phase.
can have,
Okay.
and I've had a few, graduate from the junior team to the senior team, and
Mm-hmm.
some just come in or either one. And I want to see the graduation happen more often. That's one of my
Okay.
main goals. I want to see that graduate to where you were on this team, and now you graduate up to the next team, and it's more competitive. It's more critical thinking. You get to use all those big skills that you've been working with.
Right, right, right. All right. I love it. This was a fantastic interview. I really enjoyed myself. I know that our listeners have as well. I want to thank you, Mr. Randall C. Phillips, for being my special guest. And again, all of your information on how to reach you will be on all of our social platforms, including this podcast. But I also want to just mention, like you said, you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, so you are in the social media space, so people can find you as long as they put in Randall C. Phillips. Make sure we include the C. So thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much. So I want to thank you for being my guest today. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in today. And until next time, go forward and create the life you desire and deserve, and you can do so at any age. Let's continue to transition, transform, and thrive together. I'm your host, Joyce Kyles. Thanks for tuning in.